caregiving and being a caregiver requires us to do that, which not only are we involved in these tasks that you're highlighting, but it's also we are being asked to be open at a time of remarkable vulnerability and challenge. But that openness is a bridge to others, and it's no longer suffices to be able to simply reliant on the way things were before. And so in that sense, it's so unsettling. I just one quick question from Aurora, and I think I'm interpreting this question right, Aurora. The idea of kind of money for caregivers, and I'm not sure she's asking Canada specific, I'm sure. Is there a place to go for understanding about where you might find that, or in terms of how, maybe you can address that with Aurora later. Maybe I'm not paraphrasing what she's saying accurately, but
are you thinking of more family caregiver support, financial support?
perhaps. I think so.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there is more caregiver support available now because of COVID in Canada.
Okay.
You'd have to look if you're calling in from the States or another country. You would
Ontario.
have, oh, it's Ontario? Okay. So the best place for you to go to look for Ontario resources is the Ontario Caregiver Organization. That's the name of the organization. They have a 24-hour helpline with information about resources. Call them.
Great.
Tell them what your circumstances are. And yeah, it's there's like a super fantastic resource.
And another question, Donna, from Erica about, and this is just the tension, the ongoing tension. She says she has no time for friends or connections. She has 2 children with autism, now her own healthcare challenges, and she doesn't even know how to make friends anymore because she can't do or be what a friend might expect.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy, do I ever relate to that, because that's why my first book about being 23 years at home with my kids, really, and being the primary caregiver, I called The 4 Walls of My Freedom. So I had to find a rich life without ever leaving home. It's interesting. I gave a workshop one night for a group of parents of children with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. And it was about self-care. And I asked the question, what does respite, if you've ever had respite, what's it been like? Where did you find it? What do you imagine? How do you imagine ever being able to relax? And one of the interesting answers to that was being with friends who also have kids with the same disability, because they get us. They get us. So if my kid has a meltdown, it's fine. If my kid, decides he doesn't like the curtains and he rips them off the wall, it's fine. Everybody, there's a couple of moms there who get each other. The kids kind of get each other. I think, so important to find your tribe in caregiving and a place of acceptance and belonging. And then you can work out from that. And it may be just one other person or one other family that you can be literally in a bubble with. It does start with one friend who gets you. In terms of, again, going back to the community, I Googled what some of those neighborhood resources might be in COVID. So here's one resource I found. Looking at a senior center in Toronto, I found a cooking club. I found music concerts. This is all online, but it's all free. And you can cook along with these cooking lessons. So the website gives the recipes, talks about healthy eating, but then you can make the recipes with your loved one. Um, the libraries have all gone creative and online during this pandemic. It is amazing what they are offering. I had no idea until I began to look. Um, they've got a whole program called Aging Well Together at the library. For parents, uh, isolation recreation for adults and teens, all kinds of things. And if you don't find what you need or want at the library, phone them up and tell them what you need and want. That would be my advice. The City of Toronto and the municipal telephone number of 211 is a terrific resource to find what your city government is offering. They have a whole section on seniors, internet access for vulnerable people, food, employment and social services, and community partnerships. So, for example, if you're having trouble shopping or cooking, and you don't, this is one of the things that you want help with, here's where you could go to find help in the form of, say, a community kitchen. People are still getting together to cook together, physical distancing, where in a community they buy a whole bunch of food and then prepare it together and then bring home for their families. And if you can't participate in a community initiative like that, you can benefit from it. Just about every community today has a Facebook group. This one's for Windsor, Essex, called Caremongering, but sometimes it might have a different name. You can Google these groups. Most of them are called caremongering instead of scaremongering for COVID. These are neighborhood groups where if you have any need, like for yard work, pet walking, you name it, you can go on this Facebook group and say, I'm looking after a senior, I'm having trouble, doing these tasks that we need at home. Anybody in the neighborhood willing to help? And then people who are willing to help can offer their services. So you can look for your service and get in touch with anyone who's offering it too. So it's a free exchange of give and take of help. One of the benefits of COVID-19 is that the schools are closed and children and teenagers are home and they're looking for things to do. And these are just a couple of ideas that I had about how to leverage the energy, the imagination, and the talents and skills of children and teenagers and how they could help your family in isolation. There are myriad ways. This is an idea that I had, in terms of with younger members of your own family. These are activities that you can do via Zoom, online, or Skype. You can find a family treasure and share stories about it with your loved one. Your loved one, if you have a senior, can offer personal history and skills. Children and teens can develop a list of questions and record the Zoom meeting to remember grandma. Or listen to music and then old tunes from the 1930s and say, what does that make you think of grandma? And these are just a couple of ideas of how to engage intergenerational help and stimulation and meaning and purpose. So basically that's it. This is Take Them a Meal that I referred to that we used in our family. And don't forget your own mental health. Huddle.com is a website that's offering subsidized one-to-one counseling and group sessions. And we all need help to stay strong.